Hey, hey! I'm just sitting here in Bali at the beach. I'll show you guys. It's not super early, it's early for Bali. And wait. I have my coconut. Can I just say, I think it is awesome that I can come down to the beach, sit on a beanbag, drink a coconut, do my journaling, do my gratitudes, go for a swim, and just sit on a beanbag to start my day as my morning ritual. Like, this is what I've been doing every morning here in Bali, coming down, walking down to the beach. I'm not very far from the beach, so I just walk down here, and yeah, just have my morning coconut and start my morning, and it's epic. I love it. So good. This is my second to last day in Bali. I'm leaving tomorrow, but I'm thinking I'm going to be coming back a lot. So I just love it here so much. I've been having the best time, like going to beach clubs. Yeah, we've been to quite a few beach clubs, which has been really so beautiful here. You feel like you're in like yesterday I felt like I was in Spain on the top of a cliff at this beach club, a Spanish beach club. It was beautiful. So I'll be posting more pics about that. But I wanted to jump on here today and talk about something that's been coming up while I've been here in Bali, because I've been hanging out with these women, and every time I come to Bali I meet these incredible people. I meet these incredible women that are entrepreneurial, that are living location free or living in Bali, really, independent, doing the work on themselves, do like yoga and meditation and run their online businesses, making money, strong, and they're all single, right? They're all single. And I've come along and I've become friends with these women, and because doing what I do, they ask me a lot of questions about men, about relationships and love, and I love talking about this stuff, as you guys know. I love talking about, but this is basically my client. This is my female clients are generally single, successful, conscious women, and there's two things that's usually they've recently been through some kind of relationship ending, usually, and that's why they're going through this kind of pain that they know they need to heal more deeply. And because they've done a lot of work on themselves, they wonder why this has happened to them and how did they attract it, and they want to make sure that it doesn't happen again, right? And the second thing is, or they've been single for a little while and they're ready to meet their man. They're like, I'm ready. I've done so much work on myself. Like, I want to meet this man that I can travel the world with and share my life with, and I feel like I'm in a really healthy place with myself. And sometimes I start to dig a bit deeper, and we discover, just if I'm just hanging out with them, I'll just be like, well, what's, exploring, well, what are you really afraid of? And I kind of ask these questions to get into some deeper blocks, which I do with my clients, and we'll discover that there's these things. And so what I wanted to do is jump on and share about that, because this is so common. And my mentor, Alex, who's my manifestation and business mentor, she was sitting down at lunch yesterday, and she said to me and another her friend Sarah that we were with, and said, well, EJ, she knows that this is what I also desire, that I also desire a romantic partnership to travel the world and create workshops and retreats, and I'm doing all this stuff already, and I have and I co-facilitate with a beautiful man, and I have all these beautiful male connections in my life. And she's like, what? And I said, it's really interesting because I watch my clients on Facebook who I've worked with one-on-one intensively. Usually it's ones that I've noticed that the ones that I work with one-on-one, it's like this thing, it's like about 2 months. It's almost exact. 2 months after they stop working with me, they will be in their love with their life partner. Whether it's someone they already know and that relationship has shifted, or that new person comes in. So if you go follow Regan Hilliard, Renelle McPherson, Narelle Clyde, these have all been my clients, and all of them have been 2 months pretty much after they've then in these, and I watch them, and they're traveling the world and with their partner. They're running, like some of them are running events. They're, and doing amazing things. And I'm so absolutely happy for them. They are all coaches, have their own businesses, and all somewhat quite successful before they met their partners as well. And then meeting their partners is taking this to this new level to where they can now share even more, like their partner supports them to flourish and grow. Whereas in the past, in the partnerships, and I see most of these women have, their partner kind of, they'll lose themselves, or they'll, they'll not be as successful as they could be. And so a lot of the fears that women have is that their partner will take them away from their purpose. Like, if I meet that person, then I'm going to get distracted, or it's going to be taken away from my purpose. Or they have such a high value for freedom that there's this kind of, and it's kind of like this fear of losing the freedom if a partner comes in. And what I've noticed is that it's women, and I've had this, right, and I've had it, that have a deep pleasing nature, like a people pleaser, tend to, when they get into a relationship, will go into the pleasing and go outside of themselves. And so there's that fear that when they meet that person, they won't realize this until I explain it to them, that they'll end up changing or shifting or molding or adapting themselves to make that other person happy. Now, I want to let you guys know that this is actually in our DNA. We are wired, like, this is because of how the hunters-gatherers, women became pleasing, and they became very adaptable. So women adapt to different environments because they need to go out and gather. They need to find the right food, the berry, they need to gather the right things, and they could adapt to different environments. So this is why women, when in a relationship, we will adapt and shift and change and please, because we needed to please to make sure that we survived, to make sure that the man would protect us. And so this is this innate kind of pleaser that so many of us had. And this is there's a value in that. In being single, the value is that you won't adapt so much to when another person comes in. And so one of the things that I do with my clients is we really look deeply at this stuff and do a lot of rewiring around that, and stepping out of the pleaser and setting really healthy standards and boundaries, and knowing how to speak those with love and compassion without giving your power away. And so it's big stuff. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I just wanted to address it. That's a common thing that I see, and I've had this. I know it's been a big one for me to work through. And so back to what I was saying, where Alex said to me, well, what is it that they've done, these clients have done, that are in the clients you've worked with that are in these romantic partnerships? Because I'm not a romantic. I don't teach manifesting your partner. That's not what I teach. I teach healing from your past to have a really healthy relationship with yourself, so you don't end up in codependency, right? And don't end up in healthy connections, and that the people that are coming into your life are going to be like soulmate energy, whether that's someone else in your life, or a romantic partner, or your clients, or your friends, or whatever. And you're going to naturally attract that because you're your own soulmate first. That's the stuff that I teach, and then you naturally will attract that energy into your life. And rather than kind of looking for it out of a place of, I need this to make me happy, okay? And so, so back to what Alice was saying, she was asking me, and I really kind of reflected on this. And what I've noticed is that, and I'll get to more to that soon, what I've noticed is that there's kind of this journey that I see that we go on. And this has been my journey as well. And the first journey is we go through a spiritual awakening. This is kind of something that happens. We realize that we've been living this asleep life. We've been asleep and numbing ourselves and not loving ourselves. And so we have to go through this spiritual awakening where people usually start going on retreats or yoga, meditation, healing workshops, start going through this awakening, right? And some people get, and this is myself included, very spiritual, really, really spiritual. And then what usually happens is that someone comes in and shows you all your wounds, like your emotional wounds, like all the shit, like your deep, deep, dark stuff, right? the ways you still give your power away. So it's like, I feel like the spirituality stuff is like a kind of like a surface level self-love thing. Whereas like going into the deep wound healing is like the dark stuff that we need to really bring up that shit, that the stuff that we don't think is lovable. I think the spiritual works help us to love the stuff that we think is lovable, and then the deep emotional wound healing is like bringing up the dark stuff that we actually has been, like the shame and the guilt and the anger, all this kind of deep stuff that needs to be healed, and doing a lot of, you know, mother-father work in particular, and healing around abuse is a lot of the stuff that I do. And then going into like what you've got to do is like, it's almost like the spiritual stuff is really feminine, and then the emotional healing is like, this is when your masculine has to really show up for you and really like do the work and really like, and then bringing in the feminine compassion to bringing compassion to and love to those parts of you that you've been rejecting and shaming and not seeing. And so I see a lot of people get started in a bit of the spiritual bypassing stuff, and so all of that is important. Like, I think it's important to do the spiritual work, really important. And then you've also got to bring in like the more grounded, deep, somatic, emotional release work as well, you know, because so much of it is held in the body, of our emotions and our wounds are held in the trauma, is held in the body, and this is where it has to be shifted from, right? So, you know, one of the things I've heard is that you can only heal something on the level that it was created. So you can only heal a wound at the level that it was created. So if it's like something that was created physically, mentally, emotionally, this is at the level you have to heal it. Like, so you can't heal everything in the mind. You can't heal everything in the body. You can't heal everything through spirituality. You have to be holistic, and you have to do, you know, do all of it, right? So there's a journey there. And then the last piece, which I take my clients through, and this is tends to be the last piece, is actually understanding men. These are my clients that are, you know, have had relationships with men and want better ones, and I find that that's the journey, is that it's all connected to your inner masculine, and really evolving and growing your inner masculine. And I had some clients go, why do I keep attracting like these men that are like teenage boys? I'm like, that's because your inner man needs to grow up. You know, who's holding space for you? Like, he's your man, your inner man. You can't expect a man outside of you to hold space for you if you're not holding space for yourself first, and really calling yourself on things and setting your own standards, and, you know, having your boundaries and not going into the pleasing, which is actually an immature, like, a woman of feminine quality. And yeah, so with that, that's kind of the next part of that, is really like working through like the inner masculine, and then starting to really understand men. And a lot of women that have done the work, doing the work on themselves, and they're like, fuck, I've done so much work on myself. How much work do I have to do? Like, let me know if you feel this way sometimes. You're like, how much work do I have to do? Like, when is this amazing man going to come along? La 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 la. And what's going on is that it's like sometimes there's this wall up. There's this like invisible imaginary wall, and there's so many things, right? It can be like this idea of like, when I do this, then he'll come in. When I'll be available, then I'll be ready. Once my business is successful, once I've got my money stuff sorted, once I've done this much work on myself, then I'll be ready, right? But we're having a conversation, at lunch yesterday, we were talking about that can also be a block, because then you might not get ready ever, because it's protecting you. Like, you might not get the money or the business success that you want, because it's actually protecting you from the relationship, because underneath that is still some deep emotional healing or fears that you haven't worked through yet. So yeah, so that's another common one. Like, I'm just kind of throwing out common things that I see, that I've been in myself, that I've seen in my clients, and just in general in conversations. So it's like that kind of perfectionism, and this leads back to this ideal woman concept, that, you know, once I'm the ideal woman, then I'll attract my ideal man. There's no such thing as an ideal woman. It doesn't exist. Just like there's no such thing as an ideal man. He doesn't exist. And what if this amazing man came along and you were like, this man is the most incredible man I've ever met, and he's sitting there going, well, just not perfect yet, I'm not ideal, I'm just not ready, because I haven't I haven't done all the things that I need, all the work I need to do on myself to be ready for you, right? Would you give a fuck? No, you wouldn't give a fuck. You'd be like, well, no, like I think you're amazing just as you are. So put yourself in that flip position, right? And okay, so the other piece to this is the work on the understanding and loving men. And this is why one of the reasons I run my Art of Loving Men workshops, which is co-facilitated with a beautiful man, Aaron. And we're running a retreat in Bali actually next year. It's going to be epic with men and women, which is super exciting. So if you want to know info on that, we don't have all the details yet, but comment retreat below and I will send you the details about that. So it's like actually seeing men, like not your perceptions of men or what we've been conditioned to, actually truly deeply seeing them. And when you truly see men, you will realize all the things that you're doing, you're trying to prove yourself that you're good enough, right? You're trying to prove that you're ready, all this kind of stuff, right? And sometimes that you don't actually need a man, but you'll realize that your vulnerability and your receptivity are what actually makes you the most attracted to a man, right? And the more you start embodying this, the more you're actually going to be open to receive the kind of man that you really want, that will support you, that will help you, that will encourage you and help your everything else in your life to flourish and grow, and you can learn together and heal together. So when that happens is when you start really seeing them, and you're going to get out of the need to be successful or strong or independent or ready or ideal or perfect, or when this happens, or when I lose this weight, or when I do this, or when I do that, then I'll be available, right? And then wonder why you keep attracting unavailable men. Yeah. So there's so many things I could go into here. Like there's just like so many things, like so many different angles and things, and then another thing I hear is like, oh, this is not the kind of man I want out there. They're either got this or they don't have that, da, da, da. It's like if you only want one, you only need, what is it, one? It's like 7 billion people on the planet. So yeah, like just things I hear all the time that are like actually disempowering and keeping us safe, right? So usually the question I'm asking is like, where are you still keeping yourself safe, right? Where is you keeping yourself safe? Like for me, for example, one of the ways that keeps me safe is my intelligence, right? It's like my intelligence is like a way that I used to prove myself, and stuff I still work through, because that's how I got love and approval as a child. And ultimately, the kind of man I want to be with is intelligent and is probably going to be probably a more intelligent me in many ways, which means this is vulnerable for me, which feels vulnerable because that's been such a driver for my love and approval. And it's like seeing that the other parts of me are worthy as well, seeing that, you know, me receiving a man's wisdom makes me valuable, right? This is so many things that I want to share, like so many things, and my battery's going to die soon, but I feel like I could do like 10, 20 different live streams on all these different topics, maybe 100 live streams, so many things. So I don't even know like what the topic of this was. Oh yeah, you're looking for like the relationship. Okay, yes, okay, this is probably one of my main points I wanted to make. So the thing that you have to do, and this has been quite vulnerable for me, is you have to own the for a relationship. And I think in these conscious spiritual circles, we've made it kind of wrong. And this is coming from me, I married myself, right? And it's been a little bit like vulnerable for me, because it's like I teach relationship with self, and that you don't really need anyone else. I mean, I think it's okay to want, and it's okay to long for that, and to want to share experience, especially if, like me, one of my highest values is intimacy, and you know, we crave human connection, and what it's really about, it's about looking, where is this coming from, right? If you desire a relationship, is it about I want this person to make me happy, or to meet my needs, Or, which is unhealthy, by the way, this is when you lead in codependency. Or am I happy in myself? And am I willing to be vulnerable and allow someone in? And still have a healthy relationship with me, and cool myself when I go into pleasing, when I go into giving my power away and having the conversations around it, right? So it's like knowing that you have this really like a healthy relationship with you, and not waiting for, oh, when I have this super loving relationship with myself and I'm completely healed, then like this can be going to be a block. Because that person that's going to come in, this is the thing. If you're already doing the work and you're really embodying doing the work, you're not going to freaking be completely healed before someone comes in. That person is going to come in, and then they're going to show you stuff. They're going to help you to go deeper into yourself. They're going to help you to heal more. And because you're doing the work, you're going to commit to doing the work when they trigger you, for example, right? When they trigger you, you're going to commit to, okay, I'll get triggered, I'll process my trigger, and then we'll have a conscious conversation about it, and we'll work through it, and then we'll come into more connection and more love, right? And in my book, I have a whole chapter on managing emotional triggers and how to do this with a partner, how to do this with anyone really. Like when you get triggered, how to have we've got a whole piece on like having a conversation with them and coming into agreement and deepening into self-love, which can deepen you into the love that you can have with your partner, or whoever it is, right? So it's like, for me, I know like I'm in like a really, it's like where I'm at now is like, it's like a place of like the wanting to share. And I think it's important that we own our desire for a partner, like a life partner, romantic partner. And my desire is now for what David would call a third stage relationship. So like a first and second stage are like codependent relationships. And the third stage is like, I'm in partnership to share myself and my experiences with someone, and to share and inspire others through community, right? So coming together for me, like to run retreats, do workshops, support each other, help each other to grow, and then and to share that with others and to make a bigger impact and help more people, right? So whereas in the past, it was more like, I need you to love me, right? Because I don't love myself. Like, you're meeting my needs because I'm not really happy. Or romance. It was like, I want this romance, right? It was a romantic stuff. Whereas it's not so much about like, I mean, I love romance still, but it's like more about sharing experience, having shared experience and sharing that with the world and the community, which, you know, most of the clients that I've worked with that are in a relationship, that's what they're doing. It's really beautiful to watch and see that with the work that they're doing together. So yeah, so what else? Let me know if you guys have got any questions on that. Like if you have blocks, anything that's, you know, coming up for you there, please, I'd love to hear if there's anything. What else? I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. I wrote some notes, let me see. I think that's about it for now. Yeah, so that was a lot. I feel like that was a lot. It was a bit longer than I was going to go for, but it wanted to come out. So this is also, yeah, this is one of the things I wanted to, this is also me publicly owning. And I hope this gives you guys permission, because I feel like part of my journey in this world is to be a permission granter for others, to show up in my boldness and my fullness and my vulnerability, to give other people permission that it's okay, you know. Is that I desire a romantic relationship from a healthy place, right? I'm not going to go into it, whatever I just said, right? And that's okay. You know, it's okay for you to desire and to long for that. And there's a difference between longing and neediness, right? And one of the things that I also see in a lot of spiritual circles is this whole concept of like rejecting this neediness thing. But there's a difference, and I've done a whole thing in my book about this, the difference between meeting needs and neediness, quite different. So I'm not going to go into that now. You'll probably have to get my book to do that. So what I wanted to offer you guys, for any of you that aren't my current clients, but you have perhaps you've been watching me for a while and you're really curious about maybe some of the work that I do, or you have been thinking about working with me, I'm offering complimentary 45-minute love breakthrough sessions. There is like a small application process, and we just do that over a 10-minute call. And then basically we look at where you are now, the journey that, the blocks that's going on, where you are now, where you want to go, what the blocks are, what I can see are the blocks are, and I'm really good at finding blocks. It's one of my gifts, and I'm quite intuitive as well with that. So it's like a mix of like coaching, and intuition, and then saying, okay, well, this is the thing going forward. This is what you actually need to be working on to actually have what you want. And there might be some deep healing that still needs to happen, or maybe one shift. That is a piece that's something that just needs to shift, right? And that's usually what happens. Is just one thing that kind of needs just to be flipped. But we've got blind spots, so we often, most of us can't see what that is. That just needs to be flipped. So if you want that, if you want to jump on a quick call, I'm back in Australia this week and I'll be doing calls again. Just message me love, or comment below love, and we'll set up a time to chat. I'll send you a message and we'll set up a time, and you'll hear from me. You get to chat to me specifically. And also I do have, while I'm here, I do have a few Art of Loving Men workshops coming up, and usually I find this is really powerful for women that have really done a lot of work, and it's kind of like the next level. But even, it's also, for people that feel really drawn to it and maybe haven't done a lot, like heaps of work. It's called the Art of Loving Men. Actually, there's one in Brisbane on the 15th and 16th of September, which is called Sacred Pathway to Loving Men. I'm facilitating that with Helene and Nista. She's doing day 1 and I'm doing day 2. And then I've also got 2 coming out, one in Perth on the 17th and 18th of November, the Art of Loving Men. That's with me and Aaron. And then in Melbourne, the 24th and 25th of November in Melbourne. So that's Art of Loving Men, and then the January retreat in Bali as well. And that's for men and women. So any men that are watching this, or if you do have a partner and you want to do some work on really seeing each other, really seeing each other, and healing stuff around masculine, feminine, men, woman, it's really powerful. So if you want information on that, just write workshop below and I'll send you out the info. And maybe put what city, so I know which one to send you, or maybe I'll just send a message with all of them, All right, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go chill out at another beach club today. That's what you do when you're in Bali. I'll give you guys I'll give you a little turn around so you can see. This is all the beanbags. So cool. And my coconut. Yeah. So awesome. I love it here. So if you want to come join me in Bali in January, me and Aaron in Bali, come do it.